Washington National Airport, Washington, D.C., July 19th, 1952. A quiet evening in the control tower is interrupted when air traffic controller Harry Barnes detects numerous unidentified objects flying in the sky 15 miles south of the city. And these objects are headed directly towards the heart of the United States government.
This air traffic controller saw an echelon formation of 7 objects he couldn't identify. Not only did he see these, but they estimated they were flying at 7,000 miles per hour, faster than any conventional plane anywhere on the planet.
At the same time, Andrews Air Force Base, which is less than 10 miles away, is also tracking what turned out to be the same targets in the same location. But in addition to that, there were commercial pilots in the air at that time who also saw these objects, whatever they were. So you have 2 radars plus visual confirmation. And here's what was really crazy. These objects were seen over, guess where? The Capitol and the White House. So at that point, the decision was clearly made to scramble a couple of F-94 fighter interceptors.
The jets were vectored towards the area where some of this UFO activity had taken place. The UFOs then departed. Then when the jets got low on fuel and had to return to base, the UFOs came back. It's almost like they were playing cat and mouse with the military.
The unidentified flying objects finally disappeared for good around 5:30 a.m. after being tracked by both civilian and military radar for nearly 6 hours. News that UFOs have been detected and pursued by military jets in the air over Washington, D.C. astonished the public and triggered widespread panic.
The sightings of UFOs were on front pages of newspapers across the country. There was so much excitement, so much panic about who are these things? What are these things? Who's piloting them? Where are they from? That's how crazy this was.
At that point, UFOs, flying saucers, were dominating so much of the news. This was really becoming a serious, if nothing else, public relations problem for the military, if not a national security problem, frankly.
The national panic escalated 1 week later on Saturday, July 26th, when unidentified objects were detected moving at high speed over Washington, D.C. for a second time.
The following weekend, the entire scene repeated itself. Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base were tracking up to a dozen of these objects simultaneously, multiple times. F-94s would approach, but every single time, these objects just sped away. And this went on, actually, through the night.
This is David Brinkley in the radar room at Washington National Airport. On these radar screens last Saturday, they saw something strange and unusual and, at the moment, unexplainable. It was not an airplane. It was not a cloud. Nobody knows what it was.
As a result of the panic that ensued in the wake of all this, the U.S. Air Force felt it was necessary to bring out a Major General, John Samford, to explain what was going on at the time.
I'm here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
His explanation was that these things could be explained very simply as temperature phenomenon.
It does not contain any pattern of purpose or of consistency that we can relate with to any conceivable threat to the United States.
And that, therefore, nothing really need concern the public. That did not really resolve the matter for a lot of people.
The extraordinary sightings over Washington, D.C. convinced many Americans that the city was a hotspot for UFO activity. And ever since 1952, people have continued to report seeing strange objects in the sky above the nation's capital.
What a lot of people don't realize is that this wasn't a one-off. You get incidents over a series of years.
For over 70 years, there are reports of UFOs flying over the district. Washington, D.C., ever since the 1950s, has been a UFO hotspot because that's where the seat of government is. And if whoever is piloting the UFOs wanted to contact the United States, they go to Washington, D.C.